trial by jury was very important to the Founding Fathers, so important that it was originally secured as a right in the original text of the U.S. Constitution. Regardless, there might be some cases where a defendant would want to waive their right to trial by jury. First, according to the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 1.12, the right of trial by jury shall remain inviolate. Inviolate means it shall not be infringed upon or impaired. While the right to trial by jury in a criminal case is inviolate, there might be some instances in which a defendant may want to forego the trial. One particular situation is when the defendant wants to agree to a plea bargain. Plea bargains occur in around 95 to 98% of criminal cases and involve a defendant pleading guilty in exchange for the prosecutor seeking or recommending a pre-agreed upon sentence length or type. Plea bargain or not, should a defendant want to waive their right to trial by jury, the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure outlines how and when they may. The CCP states, all defendants may waive their right to trial by jury unless they are charged with capital murder and the state intends to seek the death penalty. In all other cases, a defendant may waive their right to trial by jury. It must be made in person, in writing, in open court, with approval of the judge and consent of the prosecutor. In this case, such as during a plea bargain, if all parties agree, consent of the court, meaning the judge, must be on the record, and consent of the prosecutor must be on the record and in writing and before the defendant enters his plea. In a capital felony case in which the prosecutor will not seek the death penalty and instead will seek life without parole, the defendant may waive their right to trial by jury with consent of the prosecutor. All other defendants, with or without an attorney, may waive their right to trial by jury unless the defendant is charged with a felony and the defendant is not yet represented by a lawyer, in which case the court will appoint an attorney prior to accepting the waiver. As a summary, you may waive your right to trial by jury, but the case may not be a death penalty case. The judge and the prosecutor must consent in all other cases, and if the charge is a felony, you must be represented by an attorney. There's one more right a defendant may want to waive in order to speed up the process, particularly in the case of a plea bargain: the Texas right to be indicted by a grand jury for felony. In this case, a defendant may waive their right to be accused by indictment unless it is a capital felony.